think it's been like a week and a half. He's only for just a little over 2 weeks. Family wedding.
A long trip for a few weeks.
Yeah, that's good.
For over there, it's a very short trip.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. The formal meeting for August 8th, 2022 begins. A copy of draft minutes of the July 7th, 14th, and 19th meetings have been posted on the city website, as have committee reports. We have communications from the Hudson City Democratic Committee and the HPD, oh, sorry, no, okay. HPD Section 9 data report. So we can begin with our reports. And first up is, where's York? Talk about the youth center report. Hello, everybody.
Hello, I'm here. I just stepped out of another meeting so that I could join you guys. Can you guys hear me?
Good. And then your folks. Oh, no.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we've got you, Liz.
Okay. Shaheem, or whomever is there, if someone could share my report, because I can't do it on my cell phone.
Yes, give me 1 moment.
Okay. Okay. Oh,
There we go.
all right. So it's not a very long in-depth report. We're just in our last week of summer camp right now. So it's, despite the heat and rain days we've been having, it's been a lot. So there might be a few things I forgot, so bear with me, please. So summer camp's in its last week. It's been a wild ride, like I just said. Extreme weather has been pretty unpredictable. We've had extreme heat, threats of storms, super humid days, a lot of heat advisories. But our campers and staff have had a really great time this summer, participated daily in swimming. We worked with programmers from the CLC, Claremont, Bindle Stiff Circus, Beautiful Racket, and had numerous volunteers come in. The Department of Youth Bike Co-op was available to the campers for just bike riding and learning bike mechanics. And we'll be giving away some bikes to campers at the end of the week this week. So some families who, kids who want to have bikes to ride who would not be able to get their own. We're able to do this because we get a pretty hefty donation of bikes every year. So we get the bikes, we refurbish them, we allow the kids to ride them throughout the summer, and then we're able to gift them to families because the younger kids are not able to participate in the build your own bike workshop until they're like 10, 11, depending on the child and their abilities. So the younger kids don't get an opportunity to build the bikes, but they do get an opportunity to take a bike should they need one. We had over 150 campers register for the program, and we had about, on average, on a good day, 70 to 80 campers, about 100 different kids coming through the camp each week. And so here's some photos of some of the stuff we did. The kids with the bones are filming a movie with Rebecca Bohr. We did, kayaking, canoeing, fishing, playing on the beach, swimming. It's just a lot of fun camp activities. Reflecting on this year, already starting to look back on ways that we can improve. Our biggest hope for next year is to find a location that we can use when there is inclement weather, especially with how unpredictable it is, and also recognizing that the new weather pattern that we've been experiencing with like extreme weathers, whether it was rain last year or heat this year, It's not going away. It's something that we need to accept and work with. And so we're trying to find a way that we can move indoors for inclement weather without creating too much of an issue for transportation and parents. Right now, the youth center isn't quite big enough to facilitate all of the kids and campers, or the campers and counselors that we have if we close. And the beach house just really can't accommodate more than about 10 kids. So there is the hope that the beach house will eventually get redone and it can be used for programming. But in terms of next year, we're going to be looking at maybe partnering with some other programs to be able to find indoor options. So Oakdale Updates, Friday is the last day of camp. So after Friday, the beach will be open to the public Monday through Sunday, 10 to 6, actually. It says 10 to 5, but the guards were able to add on an extra hour to the day. The unfortunate thing is the majority of our guards are students. And so they're either going to be returning to college or starting up their fall sports team. So as of right now, the last day that we'll be able to staff lifeguards is the 21st. We're looking to see if there's a possibility to at least staff weekends after that, but right now it's looking like the 21st. Fall programming, we're getting together for our fall programming now. We've had several applicants looking to join our recreation attendant team, which is really exciting. And now that we're fully staffed and we have all of our positions filled with the recreation program coordinator and we've got a secretary, we're really looking forward to jumping into fall. With a year under my belt and Calvin's belt, we feel ready to kind of, look into what we've been doing and how we can improve and how we can continue to grow the program and support the community. After school signups will be starting soon, as well as fall soccer signups. We're trying to streamline everything into one simple program where once you're registered in the program, it's more of a just click and choose what you want to be a part of instead of resubmitting your information every time, which I think will be a great help to our families. We'll also be doing a staff training week in the last week of August, first week of September there. Before Labor Day, where we're going to be doing some really intentional training and setting up some expectations for the coming year. So we're really excited about that opportunity. And we hope to work really closely with parents in the school and other after-school organizations in the area to enhance our program this coming school season. We're just excited about fall. One thing that I didn't mention, like I said, I just was busy and I forgot about it, is that next week we're doing our Restorative Justice Week. That information is still up on the city page. If you go to the where all the announcements are and you scroll down, and we'll reshare it as well. We're going to do training, and that's going to go Monday through Friday. So you'll be trained in how to lead a restorative justice circle and how to participate in a restorative justice circle. And we're hoping that people can participate in all 5 days of that to really understand and learn and be able to lead that. And then there will also be community restorative justice circles on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday evening will be at the youth center. Saturday will be at Kite's Nest. And I think we're still looking for a location on Sunday. The hope is that we can really incorporate people from all throughout the community. So all different departments, all different organizations. So if you know of a location that you think might work, or if you're interested in getting more information about that, you can reach out to me, or you can just keep an eye out for some updates that we'll have out soon. And that's it.
Thank you, Liz. Any questions from council members?
I just want to commend you again, Liz, on just an excellent job. I see how organized you have it over there at Oakdale, and appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Maya, is there anything you'd like to add?
At this point, no, but I really want to thank Liz, Calvin, and the rest of the staff for all they did this year, especially with the heat predominantly offering children and community and families such a good summer.
Vicky has her hand up.
Oh, Vicky? Yeah, there it is. Sorry. Vicky, you're muted.
Hi, Liz. Sorry for
Hello.
that. With the climate change, I really think it's a very smart and prudent thing to do. Start looking for indoor spaces for the kids. It seems that to me that next year we'll be faced with this same problem again. Any ideas? Any ideas of where potentially you can, you can have the kids or maybe have some other places that you feel that you may need our help with home council?
I would definitely would love some help just thinking about spaces that you might know that might work. Things that come to mind for me are maybe the fire department, since it's so close, and that could be a like, maybe storms are coming, maybe they're not, but we can go up the hill if we need to. I'm at the strategic planning meeting right now at the high school, talking with a bunch of local organizations and Dr. Spindler. And so community organization and community, like working together well as a community is something we're talking about. So I think this could be a good opportunity to talk to some local organizers about spaces. And I've got a lot of pipe dreams about where I think and what I think should happen, but nothing that I think is ready to talk about yet. So.
Okay, thanks. I have a few ideas too, so great stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'd love to talk about it when you have time.
Great.
Okay, any questions from the public? Very well.
Yeah, hi Liz, Bill Houston here with a few quick questions about Oakdale. I brought up the issue of a lack of a sign at the entrance to Oakdale. I think it was well over a year ago. The last I heard, and maybe I've missed something since then, last year was that it was in the design phase and that Friends of
Can you repeat
Oakdale.
your question, Bill?
What's that?
You don't have to build the whole case, just ask the
The
question.
last I heard was that you told us was that Friends of Oakdale was in charge of designing it and that they were looking to get it made. That was over at least a year ago. I'm just wondering if you got any update for us?
Yeah, I mean, some of the signs are up. You'll see them on the side of the building and at some of the entrance points. We haven't gotten them all up. Time has just gotten away from us. And so hopefully as things die down with camp, we'll get the rest of the signs up.
But is the plan to have a sign at the entrance where there's a sign out that doesn't say Oakdale on it? I thought that was in the works.
The sign up front is the one where you can change the lettering, which does say welcome to Oakdale. So that's going to be our welcome to Oakdale sign for now.
Wasn't the plan to
Okay,
change,
good.
wasn't the
You're
plan
not
to
granted.
change that?
Bill,
Not with this order of signs, no.
next question, please.
So, so Oakdale won't have its own sign that says welcome to Oakdale in big letters. Is that correct?
Bill?
It's just the largest public park in Hudson, and it doesn't have its own sign.
Please.
So, other signs. Now, in the rear entrance up 6th Street there around the bend, you told me that you're getting ready to put no parking signs there. So, is that true?
There are no parking signs there in that pull-off area. That's an entranceway for our maintenance vehicles. We go in there daily to change garbage, to empty out the sheds or the porta potties and all of that. So we have to be able to have access to that area to do park maintenance.
So there's no parking allowed there at all.
There are some signs up there that say no parking, yeah.
But there could be parking back there that doesn't block the entrance. Is that correct? Because a lot of people like to park back there, and I park there myself just because it's kind of convenient, especially if you have a dog. Is no parking allowed at all back there at that little lot?
I mean, it's not a parking lot. It's not a maintained parking lot. So no, there's no parking there.
Next question.
And you made that
Question, Bill, please.
here's my question. And you made that decision, or did DPW or somebody else?
It's a city-made decision, yes.
Anybody specifically?
I talked to
Hey, thank you, Liz.
DPW.
Get back to
And
it.
Thank you, Liz.
there's a table from the beach, across the lake that lost its paint over the winter. It was painted blue like all the other tables were last year. It looks like crap. I'm just wondering, is that going to be repainted this year? Is that on the plan?
We're not doing any painting this year. I think we're going to move towards getting composite benches and tables so that we don't have to continuously maintain them in that way.
Okay, thank you, Liz.
Composite better than wood. Is that right? Plastic?
Okay, moving right along. The next person up is Nia, who I don't think is here. So we'll go to fire. We have the commissioner here, Tim Hutchins.
Hey guys, pretty busy month this month. We responded to 5 structure fires, 3 in Catskill, 1 of our own at 508, 510 State. And just over the weekend, Philmont, up on Union Court. Everything worked great. The guys worked good together with our mutual aid partners at all of the scenes. And we encountered no issues, no injuries. The 508, 510 State, we got lucky on that one that it was early enough in the night that somebody spotted it. And we were able to get it under control pretty quickly. That could have been a nightmare. The only other thing I have is the old tower ladder is still for sale. Probably going to be dropping price again to see if we can get some more bites. We did have a fire company who sent a mechanic up from Virginia. However, we haven't heard anything back from them since their visit.
Is that it?
Yep. Any questions?
Thank you, Tim. Council members, any questions?
Great job. Good. Appreciate you, man.
It seems like a lot of the actions in the county recently. Have you been called to a lot of those fires?
Tom, I'm having a hard time hearing you. What's that?
Just curious if there was a lot of county activity with fire recently. Are we called to those fires, or have we gone to those fires?
Yeah, we're on automatic mutual aid for several departments. As we have automatic mutual aid set up, our first alarm for any reported structure is Greenport and Catskill with an engine and a ladder. That's coming to us. We're on automatic mutual aid with our fast team for multiple departments. And the ladder truck is on the Clobrick task force, and that's how we ended up in Philmont the other night.
Thank you. No questions from the council. Any questions from the public? Make it short, Bill.
Jesus, what? My name's not Jesus. My name's Bill. Tim, I've asked this question maybe about a year and a half ago, and I'll ask it again because I think it needs asking. I've noticed 2, now 3 fire hydrants with plastic bags over them. One of them's had a plastic bag on 4th Street between Warren and Columbia for over 2 years. Hasn't been working for 2 years. There's a one on Front Street with an orange bag on it. I think that's close to a year now. Does the fire department care how long fire hydrants are out of service and how they look?
We don't make that decision. That's the water department. However, we have a fire hydrant every 500 feet in the city. We have water mains that are 6, 8, 10 inch. We very well, and I know the one on 4th Street you're talking about, we would likely not utilize that one anyways. We would likely lay off of Columbia or Warren Street for the bigger main.
And the one on Front Street?
The one on Front, that's on a large main, but like I said, our hydrants are only placed about 500 feet away. For example, on one of our engines, we carry 2,000 feet of 5-inch hose, so we won't have a problem getting water.
I guess the question is, you don't care how long a fire hydrant is out of service. Is that correct, Tim?
Thank you, Tim.
2 years, 5 years, 10 years, doesn't matter. Plastic bag over it, 10 years.
Tim has left the meeting.
Yes.
Okay, next up is
Really helpful answer.
you gotta understand, there's no obligation to even participate in these meetings. The various department heads.
Would you rather they not?
I didn't
Just
say
tell them
that,
not
though.
to show up. then.
Yeah,
I keep saying that.
I keep saying it because that's how it goes. If you don't like it, I can't.
I love non-answers, man. I'm getting used to it. Every month.
Okay, moving right along, Heather. You're muted.
Hello, everyone. How are you? I'm going to apologize in advance. I have been getting messages that my internet connection is unstable and I've lost you guys a couple times. I don't really have any workaround to that, unfortunately, right now. So keep your fingers crossed. I've turned off as much as I can that might be using wireless or data, and hopefully that will work. So I'm now going to share my screen. Okay, so relatively short and straightforward tonight. We are still actually working on finalizing the 2021 draft AUD. We did have an initial review with the fee accountant. I believe as of today, we have identified all of the things that need to be adjusted and or modified. Again, this is all related to the fact that the Government Accounting Standards Bureau has elected to eliminate a fund that we and many other municipalities have used for decades, and that requires a lot of moving things back and forth between funds. It gets a little more complicated because we have to report it one way in the AUD as if the trust fund doesn't exist anymore, because that's what was supposed to be eliminated. But in reality, the trust fund does exist and there's still cash in it. So until we actually make those transactional movements, we have to report it one way in the general ledger and another way in the AUD. And I think we've got that all straightened out now. So that is exciting because that also means we can start sharing our trial balance and other pieces of information with the auditor, so we can get our audit to begin, as it is important that we get that done before the end of the year because of the fact that we are on muni market. Did I lose you? I lost you, didn't I?
Oh,
We can hear you. Heather.
Oh, great. It's funny because I'm looking at Roni and he hasn't moved and I thought he was frozen.
Councilmember Roney's very stoic.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. You might have to wave occasionally. Okay, so I will continue. And again, once that's all finalized, we get the audit begun, and then it's going to be the actual conversion this year of, in fact, eliminating that trust fund in the general ledger, so it no longer exists, so it's no longer used except as basically a sweep account, because that is still where we have pretty much all of our electronic fund transfers that go into. So when we get deposits from the state controller or DEC for grants and things like that, they're still all going to go in there, but we're just going to consider it a sweep account. It's going to go straight in and straight out. So we've talked about some of these other financing things that's coming up. You may, and Rob can definitely give you more insight on this, but there is the potential that the city will be applying for another WIA grant, which is Water Infrastructure Improvement Act. That is having to do with the water fund, so often replacing mains and things like that. They are considering an application with an estimated project cost of a little over $1 million. The local share of that would be about a little over $400,000. If they in fact want to go forward with that, there are going to be a couple more things that we're going to have to address, which I'm going to address further down in the resolution section. The other ones are all straightforward. We've got a follow-up meeting on the NYPA LED streetlights project, I believe this week. So we should be getting closer to understanding where we are vis-a-vis financing on that front. And we're also, as I think Peter may discuss, about to have a final overview about the ADA improvement. And so once we get that, we'll also know whether the capital reserve is adequate for that or not. In terms of ARPA, We did, in fact, receive our final tranche of 311,000 and change. So that is in. It's been recorded as it is supposed to be recorded, as a liability and a cash influx. And so that's good. So a couple of resolutions you're going to see next week. I did not have a chance to pull any of them together for today, but the first one is there's going to be a budget amendment for a replacement vehicle for code enforcement. I think you've probably heard Craig talk for many years, at least those of you that have been around that long. His car has just been falling apart for years, and it's at the point where the replacement costs, I think we all agree, far outweigh the value of the old vehicle, although I think they're going to try and keep it some minor tweaks for part-time employee usage. Second one you're going to see is just a loan from the general fund to the water fund. It's for the Washington Street main replacement. I believe when we did our initial borrowing for that, we were under the impression that we would be able to get part of the project submitted and reimbursed so that we didn't have to borrow the entire amount of the grant. We now, unfortunately, have about $175,000 in bills that went through the last audit and only about $16,000 in cash to cover it. So we're obviously holding those. We will do like we always do, loan money from general to water. And then when we get the reimbursement, water general paid back. And then the last one is referring to that WIA grant that I just talked about that Rob can talk about in more detail. But if in fact we as a city decide we want to go forward with that project, we would both have to do yet another loan to water to cover some of the startup costs. And we would also have to approve a bond resolution because the entire fund balance for the water fund is only about $400,000. So clearly we can't, water fund cannot afford to match the entire local share of $400,000+. So obviously that's going to require, some discussions in terms of how much do we want to borrow? Do we want to look at other sources? Do we want to consider raising the water and or the water fee as part of the water sewer fee? Right now we charge one amount for the non-metered accounts. We charge a flat amount. One portion of that gets directed to sewer. One portion of that gets directed to water. Over the past several years, because sewer has been much more costs because the sewer department started processing outside leachate, which is basically, using the sewer plant to process other people's stuff. They have had a pretty nice cash inflow because of that. And so we're directing a bigger and bigger percentage of the water sewer rents to water as opposed to sewer. So that's another option as well. We certainly, yes.
So in your emails today, you mentioned that there's $402,000 in the water fund. So what's the virtue of keeping all that there rather than using that towards this potential grant?
Well, no, that's an excellent question. I certainly think, and I was actually about to get to that because one of the other options is for us to look and determine how much of that fund balance we are willing to use against the debt service or against the amount of money, and then figure out how much of the debt we would want to balance. It's been a little up and down. It's been as low as maybe 300,000, and but it's at its highest right now. That it has been for a few years. So I certainly think taking it down, certainly probably at least to a couple 100,000 would be appropriate. But again, that's all part of the, assessment of the financial options. So.
Sorry.
No, that was a great question. Thank you. And then just operational, we're continuing to work on the software upgrade. We did get an initial price quote. I think we have to get one more from them because I think they missed a component that we need. And we've also asked them for a status call in terms of understanding where they are in the development of some of the key components we need, namely installment agreements, which again is the back taxes ability to enter into a payment plan, and several other things that I won't go into detail about. And once we get an update on that and a sense of timing, we're going to do another demo. And, you know, obviously, sooner we can do this, the better, but we also can't move on it until we've got all the pieces in place if we're going to be transitioning. So this is a new topic in the last probably 2 years at this point, maybe 3. We had started and stopped several times a foreclosure process. Obviously with COVID, we stopped that completely. We are now back on that. So there are a number of steps involved and it takes quite some time. It's all orchestrated very carefully by New York State real property tax law. And so there's many steps that have to be taken, and but we're going to start that. And obviously the first thing is to pull a list of everyone that's delinquent. And since I know many of you on the council are new, there are resolutions that will come forward to you for approval in terms of, you know, getting the process in place and all sorts of that. I do have a delightful announcement to make. As you know, we have been at 50% of staff for over 10 months at this point. So it's been very stressful. But I'm delighted to announce that Emily Briggs, who you may know from the clerk's office, she's an account clerk at the clerk's office. She took and passed with a very high number, the senior account clerk test. We are required by the union contract to post any internal openings internally first. Posted the senior account clerk position that we had open, and Emily had decided to take it. So Friday was her first day, and we're thrilled. I think she's going to be great.
Great. Congratulations. Yeah, it's great news.
Okay. So back to our sort of usual review of revenues. So you can see that we're about 58% through the year. These are through July. And you can see that on and off-street parking, we're at about 66%. We've basically made our number for the Front Street lot already. So that's looking like it's come back better than we anticipated in terms of you know, people presumably getting their parking passes so they can commute to their jobs that are outside of Hudson, whether it be in New York City or elsewhere. And parking tickets were a little behind on this point. If we look at it versus where we were through July 2021 versus 2022, you can see we're up on everything except parking tickets, where we're a little behind. Not really sure why that is. Haven't really honestly had a chance to explore it at all, but hopefully when we get the office a little bit back caught up, I will have a chat with either HPD and or the Parking Bureau and see if we can understand what's going on there. In terms of building permits and fees, again, you can see that we're pretty much right on line for plumbing permits. We're at 58% and we're 80% of building permits. So that number's looking pretty strong as well. And again, overall, those two combined were up about 15% versus a year ago. Sales, mortgage, and lodging tax. We do have some new information here. So I know if you remember last month, we talked about the fact that Columbia County issued basically a press release indicating that we were expecting a pretty significant drop in sales tax revenues. We did get our second quarterly payment, about $560,000. So we are actually, we look, I think, pretty strong. I remember correctly, the third quarter is usually one of the strongest of sales tax. So right now we'd like to be at 50%. We're a little below 50%, but right now I think that's okay. Mortgage tax, we did get our first payment. We get 2 payments a year for mortgage tax. And you can see that we budgeted 225,000 for mortgage tax, and our first payment came in at 138.3, so 61% of budget. So it's always good that that's over 50%. It gives you a little flexibility in terms of the second payment and where it might come. And lodging tax, again, we were kind of conservative in our lodging tax estimate, and right now, and I have to say that this, I'm sorry, this says through March, but you can see I corrected it on the one below. It's through July, but it's still an estimate pending a final reconciliation of that account. But we're at roughly 250,000 versus a budget of 300,000. So that number looks like it's going to come in strong as well. It's going to be interesting because I've had a couple people say to me just anecdotally, oh, well, that, like, for example, oh, parking lot at Rivertown Lodge is emptier on the weekends than it used to be, but who knows? So until the numbers really come in, we know, but so far it's looking strong. And that's all I have right now.
Thank you, Heather. Any questions from the council? Anyone? Oh yeah, Vicky.
Hi Heather, how are you?
I'm good, Vicky. How are you?
Good. So are foreclosures up or down? The amount of people being delinquent in their taxes, is it higher or lower than previous year? Is that something you might know?
I don't know it off the top of my head. I will say though, I will say that I was pleasantly surprised that the amount of uncollected taxes for 2021 and 2020 didn't increase as much as I might have anticipated, given what was going on with COVID. If I remember correctly, because I did have to pull that information for the official statement that we have to issue when we issue muni bonds, and I think I shared that with everybody on the council. I remember I think it went up somewhat, but it was well below the well below double digits. I think it was maybe 6% unpaid. What we're really looking at though is the fact that this has been, foreclosures is always challenging here in the city. Like the county has an attorney and a staffer that handles that exclusively. And so they're able to like do this sort of on a recurring basis, like every 4 months or so that we'll have tax sales. We don't have that ability. So we hire an outside firm. In this case, it's with Benedict and Shaw, and they work with us to coordinate all of that. With COVID, and it also gets a little challenging because when you have changes in administration, then city attorneys change and they may or may not want to be involved in the foreclosure process. So long story short, we have not done a foreclosure process in probably at least the last 5 or 6 years, which means there are a fair amount of properties out there that have been delinquent for some period of time. I will also say, because so many of you are new on the council, that what has happened traditionally is that we will come to the council with a list of all the people that are delinquent and in risk of foreclosure, and that number can be anywhere from, 60 to 120. Generally, by the time we get to the final resolution where we're actually going to conduct the foreclosure on the property, it's always been less than 15 properties because people get lots of warning notices. We're required to do it as certified mail, regular mail. We give them, obviously, we have the installment agreement that we've been talking about, so people have the opportunity to enter into that and pay off their delinquent taxes. Also, people are, hopefully, most of them smart enough to realize that if they can't come up with delinquent taxes, it's a strong real estate market and better to sell your property and walk out with some money than just lose it for taxes.
Good. Let me ask you another question, Heather. That the replacement vehicle for the code officer, is it used or new vehicle, and who buys it?
I can answer that. We have an agreement with the state where certain things you don't have to get three what's wrong over here, folks? Huh?
proposals or?
3 proposals, thank you. You can just buy from what's available. It's already been agreed upon. It's an agreement we went into a couple of years ago. And this is a $32,000 Jeep that is readily available.
Good. Okay, thanks.
Sure. No, I had a long talk with Craig Hague about it today. That's why I wasn't sure if Heather even knew all that information. Heather?
I'm sorry, Tom, I'm having trouble hearing you. What did you say?
That's all right. It wasn't important. Moving right along. Anybody else have questions for Heather? The public. Okay, thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
And I see for representing the police department tonight, we have the commissioner, Shane Bauer. There he is. You're muted still. Up.
How are you, sir?
How are you? I'm fine.
Okay, so for the monthly report for the executive order, for the month of July, there was no use of force incidents that occurred. Number of arrests were 46 for the month, which is pretty much on par for summer months. Number of emotionally disturbed person calls, there was 9. The number of calls involving a drug overdose was 2. And unfortunately, we had 1 possible overdose death. Also, the council should have copies of the body worn camera that should have been sent to them. If anybody has any questions on that. A couple small things that I have. After 28 years of service, Lieutenant Moon retired. We will miss him. He's moved on to his next journey in life. Within that move, we promoted Mashonda Franklin to lieutenant. She's a patrol lieutenant now. And then promoted Patrolman David Card to patrol sergeant. We also graduated from Zone 5 in Schenectady. A new officer, his name is Reed Ferris, and he should be out on the street, and everyone will get to know him and meet him. That's really all I have this month.
Thank you, Shane. Council members, any questions? I don't see any. Public? Bill?
Yeah, Shane, I'm wondering, trying to figure out if you had anything to do with the change of the parking situation in front of 302 Warren Street, which is the maker.
This is
Where
already. Bill,
the parking was changed to no parking and the meters were removed. Did you have anything to do with that?
It doesn't really
I
matter.
have a say with numerous other people within the city on changes that are made such as that.
I'll ask it again, Shane. Did you have anything to do with specifically the no parking change, the meter removal?
Mr. Houston, let me explain something to you. You are not an attorney, and I am not on trial. I explained it to you, and I answered you, and I said myself, as well as other people from the city of Hudson, made the decision that we made.
You people accept these non-answers from the people we're supposed to be in control of our city? Honestly.
Calm down.
Please, I'd be happy to talk to you about it after this.
This is not a forum.
I'd like to make a comment that has nothing to do with that. It really disturbs me. The report that Shane just gave.
Sorry.
Just bring the line down. Bring the line down.
Shane offered us a report which included overdoses last month. There was a shooting in the city on July 4th. The chief of police didn't mention it last month. Of course, he's talking about his report has to do with the month of June. So I'll give him that.
Okay, you made your comment.
No mention, Shane, of the shooting a month ago.
Bill, I've told you many times, they're here. They're not,
Don't let it out.
Bill, put your hands down.
It's ridiculous. We get to hear about overdoses, but not a shooting
Bill,
that's being investigated,
Bill,
supposedly.
I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. You're just not following the rules.
You're okay with him not answering?
Yeah, I am.
Really?
Because he's here.
Because you don't care.
I care very much. It's your behavior that's disturbing me.
Sit down.
That doesn't make a difference.
Wow, so what?
But you're not following the rules.
Where are those rules posted, by the way?
They're everywhere. And it's in the open meeting laws.
Where?
And it says when someone's disorderly, you can ask them to leave. And that's what I'm now doing for you, okay? Well, sorry, Bill. It's just the way it has to go.
Thanks, Shane, for telling us about the overdoses, man. You guys investigating the shooting or?
Come on,
It's
Bill.
an open investigation, that's why we don't talk about that stuff. And the.
Oh, that's why-
and the
that's why
overdoses-
they don't talk
And the
about it.
overdoses are, of course.
So, it just didn't happen.
Yeah. We generally don't speak about open investigations. Really? No.
Don't even mention shootings. What if it wasn't?
No.
What if it wasn't an open investigation?
My
No
office,
mention of it?
my office is open. You can talk to me about anything. I've already told you this.
The public's here. Maybe all these people on the screen want to know about the shooting that went on. Oh, how many overdoses were there? Gee, that's great. Thanks so much. See you next month.
Well, I'm sorry, everyone. I didn't want to have to do that, but you can see the problem we have. And I know you're sympathetic to Mr. Houston, and I am too. But there are rules, and disorderly conduct just doesn't help anything. And the city officials who come to us are not obligated to answer anything. Actually, they are. I take that back. They are obligated to answer questions about money, because that's our actual purview. That's all there is to say about it. With that, any other, Shane gone? Yes, he is. Okay, I don't see Rob. Rob, are you there somewhere? Text can see it. He decided not to. You said some other. Okay, we don't seem to have Rob. We do have his report, which I sent to everybody on the council. And Peter Bujano is here, so maybe he'll have something to say. Peter, would you like to speak?
Hello, everyone. I certainly can't get into Rob's report. That's his world, but happy to talk about the ADA building improvements at City Hall. As Heather mentioned, we have a meeting scheduled this week to review the schedule. There will be some disruption of services. There's going to be a phasing plan. There's going to be some major work done to incorporate the lift that's going to go into the right side door and then into the foyer and then into the clerk's area and then the meeting room. So that's, we're going to work on that. The bid document should be released sometime either later this month or the beginning of next month. And work should start as soon as we get our bids in, probably about 4 weeks after that. So sometime this fall, City Hall will be under construction for ADA in 2 phases. So we're going to cordon off the plan right now is, and we'll review this on Thursday, is to cordon off part of the City Hall so that work can continue and the office efforts can continue simultaneously. But we will be disrupting the second floor because we're going to be putting in that lift and relocating the stairs. So that will take some time. So we have to work on that this Thursday, figure out an alternative meeting location, et cetera. So that's coming.
Thank you, Peter. Any questions for Peter?
How you doing, Peter? Malachi. Actually, my question is, probably for Mike. Just want to touch base again, on the security, you know, for the City Hall. You know, what was the, I couldn't remember what the going forward process was with that.
Yeah, we decided to hold on figuring out what that situation would be until we had the final plans for the new revised entrance. So now that we are having that this week, then we can re-enter into those conversations with some of the firms that I contacted back in December I did not get a lot of response, honestly, from that initial contact and follow-up. So it'll be challenging, and it will also cost more than we had anticipated, I think. But we can definitely start having those conversations. Yeah.
Is this regarding like a security system, like alarm?
A guard.
Oh, a guard,
Yeah.
okay.
I just heard back from Rob Perry, who's been having his stomach thing, but he is coming on, so Rob, we'll bring him in as soon as he joins. In the meantime, we have, who's that?
Hey, Tom, it's Peter. I have one other update I can give you if you'd like. It's the intersection improvements at Fairview and Green. The contractor is expected to start later this month, August, and be complete of the intersection by end of year. I understand all of the material is on schedule to be delivered, and it'll start sometime later this month. So just wanted to give you an update on that as well.
Thank you, Peter.
Peter, also the park looks.
A little loud now, because we'll have to pick up.
Oh, okay. No, I said the park looks amazing so far. What was the end results on that, the finishing time?
What is the Promenade Hill?
Right.
Yeah, Rob has that schedule. Rob, that's Rob's hands-on project. I'm sorry, I don't have that information.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Peter. We'll take a question then when Rob shows up, or if he shows up, we'll cut back to him. Ron, you have a question? Oh, there you go. Hello? You're muted still. Huh? Ron, you're muted. You have your hand up. Ron Kotnicki. You have your hand up and you're muted. Okay, we'll come back to you, Ron, I guess. In the meantime, let's go to our resolutions. They're pretty easy tonight. We have a lot for next week for the formal meeting, which will go up on the website shortly. I mean, you know, well ahead of time. So first, we have Commissioner Deeds. Can I have an introduction and a second, please? Choose. Leo, second. It helps to have people that are in the house.
Second.
Sorry. Leo and Ryan. Thank you. Next resolution, please. This is accepting a donation on behalf of the fire department in the amount of $1,000 from Stephen and Edward Kostek. Introduction, Malachi, second. Second. Next resolution is a donation to the senior center from, it doesn't say, but it totals $479. Can I have an Malachi and a second? Second. Yeah, thank you. And the last is a little more complex. This came from a number of local climate change activists, and this asks us to support the New York State Climate Action Council scoping plan. We can learn more about this between now and the actual meeting. In fact, I'll invite somebody to come here and talk about it. In the meantime, we just need an introduction and a second. Leo, and a second. Okay, let me check, see, Michael, can you take that down, see if Rob has joined us or not?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Okay,
Yes.
Rob.
Sorry, I'm a little late. All right. Your screen. Okay. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Acceptance revenue for the month of June was $45,300. So it's typical, it's much busier in the summertime than it is in the winter. This helps us get closer to meeting our budgetary target for revenue. We got a lot of construction going on down on Front Street, and these big orange boxes that people might see are actually bypass pumps. That's part of, while you're installing the new mains, we have to remove some of the old mains that are in their way. And while we do that, those pumps are being used to divert the actual flows from the city around, the construction area. So that's what those bad boys are for. Once we put the pumps in place, this bag actually inflates to be 54 inches in diameter. And we actually plug the lower end of the main, so that way the manhole actually fills up, and then once it's filled, the pump can grab it and move it to the next location. These are the pipes and the hoses from the bypass pumps, and this structure started. This is the gentleman here, the worker, is sitting on one that we installed with the sewer upgrade 11 years ago. That's actually going to be demolished as part of this project, but in the interim, that's live, and they constructed this. We're installing this new one next to it, and now that one, once everything was put together, was put into service with the bypass pump. So it's big holes, it's big equipment, it's big everything. So now out at the Churchtown Reservoir, a couple of weeks ago, the water department was out there, doing their inspections, and they noticed some water pooling in front of the dam. And so, when we see something like that, there's something that needs to be investigated to figure out what's going on. Just so everybody's aware, there water does come in and around and through the dam. I know it seems counterintuitive, but when the dam was constructed 110 years ago, there was concrete slabs were formed out there. They were stacked on top of each other with control joints, and then the skin was put around it. So, water does permeate through it, which is why we have these weep holes. You can see there's 3 of them right here. And there's also perimeter drains underneath the ground. And the old idea is we want whatever water comes through, we want to get it through the dam quickly or around the dam quickly. What's concerning about this is the water seems to be from, it should take the path of least resistance, but for whatever reason, it's found its way through another point in the dam. So we did reach out to, we asked about engineers that specialize in dams, and Collier's Engineering came highly recommended. They do a lot of work in for DEP and the watershed. So if they can stand muster with the New York City's water department, then there certainly should be more than adequate for us. So they did come to the site. They did conduct some investigations. They asked us to excavate a hole for them so they could see the characteristics of the flow. They did conduct an investigation, and this is, and what we have is their report, which is included here. What the hell's going on there? Shift control. But anyway, the basic thing to be aware of is that in the area that I've highlighted is it should be, I can't really read it that quick. I'm trying to zoom it. Zoom. It should be noted that the leakage within the concrete dam is not uncommon. The conditions observed do not suggest an immediate catastrophic failure, but should be dealt with. So, that's what we're doing. We have, the next plan is to have a contractor who deals with these types of structural issues to come out, give us an assessment. We have notified DEC of it, and, we'll keep everybody appraised of the situation as it evolves. But, right now it's in the investigation steps. One of the other things and this is actually the seepage we're talking about. So when we dug the hole, I mean, it's not, it's not a huge flow. It's just, it's seepage. One of the other places without flow is over the spillway of the dam, because it's been dry. So we don't really have any water coming over the spillway. We're drinking whatever goes to the reservoir. And this is the spillway at the forge, which is where our we divert the water. And you can see there's not much going, there's nothing, little or nothing going over there. And very people realize it, but our system actually gets fed a lot from Copac Lake. And so this is an overflow weir at Copeg Lake, and it's dry there too. So, hopefully we get some storms that'll come through, and the system recharges pretty quickly when we do get some rain, but we do need some rain. Next, talking about Washington Street, that project is complete. We gave them until September to get the main in and October to get all the lead services in. They finished that last month. The original contract was for $682,000. The contract is based on estimated quantities, and the actual contract is paid out based on actual quantities. So the WIA share, which is the water main, was we had estimated about $20,000 more material. So the contractor at the end of the project has to, reduce their contract because we don't pay them for stuff that they didn't do. Similarly, with the lead service portion of the project, we had budgeted for $219,000 and only $146,000 was used. We reduced that by $73,000, and that's simply because we expected there to be more lead services. We didn't determine the actual number until excavation was underway. So we put a number in there, but it turned out that surprisingly, of the 35 houses on the 500 block, only 18 had lead services. So that balance is $150,000. The state gave us $500, so that'll leave us $350,000 to go towards the next round. And the contract gets reduced by $92,000. We have, as far as this round of grants for this year, we're proposing water infrastructure improvement, which is the WIA grant that we just did on Washington Street for down on North 3rd and Robinson. That area has still got some of the old 4-inch water main. It's cast iron. It's about 120.
I think we lost him.
Rob? Rob? He's frozen. Let's see, can I reconnect? Hmm? Oh. While we're waiting for Rob to get back on, we have a special request. Mayor Johnson would like to speak real quickly.
Thanks, Tom. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to give a quick announcement. As some of you know, the appointment for city judge has come up, and I have moved our city attorney Cheryl Roberts into that position starting August 17th. And I'll also be welcoming Andy Howard back to the city as the new city attorney, effective immediately.
Okay, that it?
That is all. I'm currently with some of the council members and other community members at the strategic planning session at the high school. So if you're missing some folks, Tom, they're in good hands.
Okay. Yes, say hi to Margaret. Let's see, so Rob's battery died, so we're gonna just move ahead and wrap things up.
Before we do,
What, go ahead.
we have this, the mayor. Can you speak on the youth project that you got lined up? With the youth,
Come on. Oh,
Yeah, I can speak on that. So right now, running a 40 under 40 event for Columbia County. We're taking nominations for anyone in the county who's doing great things in the community and their profession, education, it doesn't matter, across the board. If you know someone or you are someone who is doing, the work in the county, they can submit online to nominate individuals. Currently, we're at about 130 nominations. So I'm excited about that because it's only been a few days.
I hope you told everyone that I am well over 40. So, yeah, I don't follow, okay? So I'll make that clear to you and others. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you.
as I'm sitting here as well, I'm still wondering about your picture hanging up in the city hall. Still waiting for it.
It's usually after he retires.
Oh, after retirement. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so it'll never be hung up then.
We're working on it.
All right, thanks.
Plus, I think you have to wait till he loses a couple more pounds. Well, okay.
That's fine.
Council members, anything you'd like to discuss? Okay, once again, we'll try public, Ron Kaminsky.
Hey, hey, Tom, I got to drop for the evening, but thank you all.
Okay, bye, Arthur. Ron, you're muted. Oh, there you go. Okay, you're not muted, Tom. He must be having a problem with his computer. If you're not muted, check your sound levels, maybe. We can't hear anything from you. In the meantime, does anyone else like to speak? Would anyone else like to speak? In that case, troops, I want to thank Lieutenant Miller for coming out and joining us tonight, looking more like a poet than a policeman. But that's good then, I'm saying, by the way. Gentlemen, here in present.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The meeting